here I have some slides because slides are fun. And I also have a demo. So those are the two things we'll kind of be going back and forth to. But yeah, here's my talk about a GROQ to TypeScript code generator, which is a mouthful for many reasons. There's like an acronym in there too, but we all know and love this one. But yeah, I usually call this just TypeScript CodeGen or CodeGen for short. But yeah, we'll get into all of that in just a little bit. Yeah, hello, I'm Rico. I am a front engineer on the studio team. So I've created features alongside other team members, including references in place, which was a fun one to ship. I'm also very addicted to buying domain names, including WordlePDF.com was kind of my latest one, where you can play Wordle except in PDF form, which is it's something that should not exist. But I had fun with that one. All right, and then I am also a petter of two cats who they will make an appearance throughout this talk. Yeah. Okay, so let's just kind of get started with this demo. So here I just have, this is a little React app I made, and it has a few things in here. There's just like this editor for data. It's very similar to GROQ.dev, if you're familiar, and if you're not, I would suggest checking that out as well. It's one of the resources we used to share how to play around with GROQ really quickly. But yeah, I'll probably end up taking this demo site and deploying it somewhere when sanity-codegen is more polished. But for now, we can just use it to learn some things. Okay, so here is the data, just some JSON. Here's a query, and then we have some query results. And this stuff is all live, so I can change my name a little bit, and it will reflect over here. Yes. I can also change things like the query. So if I wanted to name this like second pet, and then increment this, I could do that to see Beanie Baby, and so on. So let's put that back. And then let me add a new panel. Well, getting kind of crowded. Let's close one. Here, there's different types of results, and I'm just going to jump to the cool demo, which is the results of the CodeGen. So this is just this part right here is the type of this query. Sometimes there will be other references in here, but for the most part, this is it. So let me, yeah, I can show that. I can change a few things. So I have like an image field on here on myself. Well, let me go to the schema. There's another part. I have the schema here as well. And a combination of the schema and the query itself is used to output the types here. So there's also an image involved in this one. So I can do something like this, image, and then I'll get back the types for that. And there's a whole bunch of things. All right, so let's close that and go back to the talk. Okay. So the first thing I kind of want to go over is what is GROQ, and trying to get down to the more first principles of it, I guess. I know we all know and love GROQ, and if you are unfamiliar with GROQ, that's okay too. There are many ways to use Sanity, but I am kind of biased. GROQ is the best one. Yeah, so GROQ is a language. It's a query language comprised of many different expressions and operations. And I kind of think of those different operations and expressions as instructions. So let's pop back over here. And I want to visualize those instructions. So I have one of the outputs here is a GROQ AST. So I'll click that and I'll explain what all those letters mean. So AST is an acronym that's short for Abstract Syntax Tree. And that's, some fancy computer science. A fancy, I guess, academic term, but really terms are nothing more than some ideas explained in a way to make them sound fancier. But we can take kind of all that stuff and just look at their face value and really understand them without having to get too frustrated at terminology. But yeah, this is more or less just an object, and inside that object there are different types and different things, and this will kind of explain what is going on within our GROQ query and show the different instructions inside them. I have here first, it says type projection, and let me go into these. Well, let's start out with something much more simple. Let's start out with just star. And star is already kind of an operation, or I guess this is like the subject of what we're working with. And then from here, I can say, okay, I want to now filter on star and grab only the people, or the type of person. So the AST just shows all of that. I start with everything, and then there's the filter. Then there's some op calls. So this is like what we're doing to everything. And we are going to filter based on this type and person. So let me do that one more time. I can grab like the first one, actually. Let's do this instead. So now we have another instruction on here, which is the access element. And you can see we're taking the filter, all that stuff, and then running this access element operator using this argument. So that's how we do that. And then, yeah, let's go back here. Yep, so then, well, let's take back one more time, and let's talk about executing that stuff. So data, I want the query result. So here are the instructions. They were encoded like this. And then as we go through it, we're filtering and running this stuff. So the result of doing this on this data set, where star is this everything, we get back this. And that's kind of important to remember. So that's how executing GROQ works, is you go through all these instructions and you apply them to this data. All right. Yep. So I guess I already spoiled the slide. You take the operators in GROQ and you run them on a set of JSON documents. And that's like that star and everything. And then you get back a new set of JSON documents, or maybe just one JSON document, depending on how your projections work or operations work. And then, so here's kind of the big eye-opening moment. When writing the GROQ to TypeScript code generator, I had to ask myself, like, how could I do the same thing? And then, I did this. I asked, like, okay, what happens if I wanted to execute those same instructions, but instead of executing them on a data set, I was executing them on types. And this is essentially how all of this stuff works. And as soon as I realized like that is how to do it, it kind of opened the door for everything and made the GROQ code generation part of sanity-codegen very doable. But yeah. All right, so let's talk about executing GROQ on types instead of documents, because that is where things get very tricky. Yeah. So let's look at this definition right here. And there's also a source to this. This is just our documentation, but even in the first line, I think it kind of already describes what we need to do or where we need to get that information. So the schema describes types, and that's where all of that source of truth lives and how we can do that. So let me go over here. So if this data is what we're going to be running these instructions on, then the schema right here, which I just have in line, this is what we need to run these instructions on in order to get this TypeScript result. Okay, so then our job is to take those types and then transform it into something that we can use and apply to GROQ. So I'll hop back here and let's take a look at some stuff. Let's look at this one. Oh, yeah. Okay. So there's a whole bunch of things open here. Let me make this a little bigger. And I can explain what's going on. So this is a representation of, where are you? Input schema. This right here, this, I guess you can call it an AST, but really this is just like an object. And this object is describing the stuff that's inside this schema. And you'll see it's kind of interesting, the end result of it, because there's some ors in here, and there's some different operations and other things. If I would do a transform somewhere, you'd see there'd be like an object on there as well. So let's do this. We have ID, we have type, color, image, and I can change some things around if we want to. So let's add another. The name is, I don't know, I guess I can have a color. Oh, and then let's do string, and then see it shows up here again. Okay, now let's take the GROQ input. So here's our query, and let's also take the output structure. So this is the result of running this GROQ query on that input structure to get this output structure. Yes. So let's start again with that very simple one again. So if I start with just this, you can see it already gets a lot simpler. Well, let's do a little bigger, a little smaller. Let's take this out. We have everything. This is star. You can read it as everything. And there's an or with some IDs and a type, which is pet. And if I wanted to filter those out, I can run this again where type is equal to person. And then you'll see that or is no longer there. We took the set of all the different types and we started filtering it and doing different things to it. That's why we have like an array. And if I take this and add an element access, that you'll see that we remove that thing, that array object, and it just goes back to the person. And I can also, I guess for fun, let's show the TypeScript result at the same time. So let me zoom out here. Then if I add this, you'll see it's kind of harder to see in this one because this thing gets so large. Collapse that. This is an array of two different things. Okay. Let's go back to the slides and put it all together. So I guess to summarize there, we take the schema and model it in a way that allows for it to be operated on with the instructions from GROQ. We extract and transform that schema to a structure that represents that model. And then we take the GROQ instructions and the operations encoded into this fancy holder of instructions, the abstract syntax tree. And then we find after we do that, we get this nice thing that we can convert right back to TypeScript. So that's how that all works. All right. And there's some other stuff that I thought was a little bit too much to talk about right now, but there is the topic of like schema extraction. So sanity-codegen will take your schema that looks like this. Where is it? Oops. Bigger. And then it normalizes it, so it has to extract all that information from here, because this is nice for us to read and type, but it's kind of harder to work with because there's a few different ways to do things, so it needs to be normalized. Then from there, you need to take the queries that are inside of your code and extract them. And this one's kind of difficult to do because you can't run the code in order to do the extraction. you need to be able to look at all the different pieces of the code just as strings and extract the GROQ query. So I've been using things like Babel to get another abstract syntax tree or just another representation of that code and then pull out the different things I need to form the queries. Then we didn't talk about how those transforms work, but there are transforms to and from each different representation of the code as you go along. And yeah, the last part I said here was integrating with the client. So this is, I'm more waiting to figure out good ways to do this. I've actually talked with many different different community members to try out the ideas I have for clients, but it's kind of up in the air right now. So I'm holding that out until it's more final. But the idea is this will be what querying will look like. They'll have some function here. This could be get static props, and then you can call sanity.query like you normally would, or .fetch with this special string. And then the idea is to take this and make that codegen just by default. So don't add anything else, and it just works. But still prototyping on that one. But yeah, I think that's about it for all the stuff I have to show you. I think we might have more fun with questions. So that is everything. Yeah.
It's a little quiet because this is mind blowing. This is like very. Go ahead.
Oh, apologies. I'm dry mouth. But yeah, I don't know. I had trouble figuring out how to form it, and I wanted to be to show how these different things are working. Because if I would have talked about the different things on slides for a while, I felt like it would have been even worse. But yeah, this has been a problem I've like held in my head for a very long time, and this work has been more or less like a side project. It's not an official Sanity thing, even though I do work for Sanity. But yes, I think I've spent over 200-ish hours on it, on just getting this and teaching myself as I'm going through. So if it sounds like 10 or 15 minutes of me talking about it was a floodgate, then it's because it's a lot about different hours and things going on. But yeah, I think really the takeaway is I'll take this demo and I'll put it up on a site somewhere, and then that's really where you'll have the most fun with it and trying to see how it works and playing around.
Right on. Yeah. So questions coming in. We'll just kind of work our way down, but one of them from Michael, Rico, which format/structure you hold data to hold data under the hood, AST, or do you just transform anything to anything?
Yeah, so that's a good question. There is abstract syntax trees. They have a different formal definition where you can't have things like refer to themselves. So that can be a problem when working with sanity schemas where they're very recursive. Like you could have a type that refers to itself already, and then that's enough to throw off the definition there. So the format I use is just a different job. Maybe can I share my screen again?
Let's give that a go. Bring it up.
Yes. All right, so this is the sanity-codegen repository, and in here I have the different, let's go back to this. I have all the different types. So here is the structures and TypeScript types for the different representations, and there's quite a few. There's this one, and this is what I use to take those different GROQ extraction instructions and operate on them. And there is some schema. Let's go open this up. There's also a normalized schema definition I have here. So this is different types that I use and normalize and serialize to JSON so I can go back and forth and whatnot. So yeah, in order to, I guess, go through the full progression of how this stuff works. It first goes from the GROQ AST, and you combine that with the schema. Where are you, schema? This schema then goes and gets put into this structure. And then that structure gets run through with the GROQ AST, and you get an output structure. So this, run the GROQ on it, you get the output. And then one more is TypeScript. So this output structure can be directly translated to TypeScript.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Any
Lo,
other
do you want to
questions?
ask the next? Yeah, do you want to ask the next one, Lo, or do you want me to just keep going down the list?
Let's see. So, could this be used to test whether queries will actually work against potential data structures before the data is available?
Oh, yeah. Yes, actually. I have, if I had infinite hours to work on this, I would take it even further. So as you go through and you iterate through the different GROQ, and you have the context of like what types are available and what you end up with, you can really do a lot with static analysis. You could, if you have a key and that key doesn't exist in the schema, you can yell at the Warren that you're doing something potentially that will not work or it won't return anything. And in terms of like filtering, you could get even more special. So you could say if you have like not defined in the filter, then you could show only the types that have something defined in there or not. So there's tons of things that you could do with it. And my end goal, my dream would be a like language service is the different things that VS Code uses, so that whenever you would press command space, you'd see the type hints of like everything that you're allowed to do and what you can write. But yeah, I think that would be the end all goal for sanity-codegen, is just to provide all the different contexts and combine your schema with your queries to give you everything you'd want.
Cool. Are you interested in having contributors or people help you with this project?
Yes, yeah, I think so. I know that I don't have enough time to work on it as much as I'd like to, because I'm busy shipping things like references in place. But
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of want for this, and I think the more signal, the more people that we can get touching it and working on it, I think it will get a lot better, especially if you can understand the different things that are going along through it. Yeah, so DMs are open. If you want to reach out, feel free. We can get you set up.
Awesome.
Another question from Canute. He says, I noticed there's some random hashes in the generator. Should we rename them in the actual code, or how does that work?
Gotcha. The hashes, they're more for underlying optimization things. They're not really important to the output of it. I wish I probably should have omitted it from the the little display there. But those hashes are used to save work. So instead of recomputing the shape after I run something through, I can memoize it and know, hey, if I computed this structure once and this hash is in my cache store, I know I can just retrieve the same result and check to see if it's there or move on. And it's also good for finding repeats, which is a big thing. So if you have a structure that references something that is cyclical, or just like refers to itself, it'll run in a loop forever unless you know that you've seen it before. So those hashes help with identifying the shape and structures of those nodes.
Okay. Got it. And there's more coming in. There's a follow-up from Michael. He has another question. Do you like using general data in modules in previous presentations?
Do I say that one more time?
Do you like using general data and then in modules in previous presentations? I don't know. maybe it's,
Maybe the demo is what you're talking about and the different
yeah.
structures that I'm throwing out there. I like it to be visual and explain what's going on through kind of, show don't tell. This execution of this time around probably need a little bit work on my side to refine the story there, but I think using these tools could be a great way to explain and talk about how these things work under the hood.
Yeah, right on. And one more. One more question. Do you have any solution for extracting schemas coming from plugins?
Yeah. Eventually, I want to I'm about to release. I was about to reveal some secrets. We have some stuff coming up on the studio team that will make extracting and doing things from different plugins much easier. And I'm very excited for that. That's going to be my next project, actually. So that will make it much easier when extracting schemas just in general. And yeah, that will happen.
Ooh,
That's all I'll
tasty
say. That will
tidbit.
happen.
Well, thank you, Rico. Great presentation and a lot of useful stuff here. The chat was very quiet during your presentation. It was everyone was just mind blown.
I think I just got to give the site out there. I think that's the final thing to take away. Maybe don't rewatch some of this. Just go to the site. It'll be great.
Right on. Well, thank you so much. And if you all want to find Rico if you have more questions or anything, you can find Rico in the Sanity Slack community. Yeah, any final words before we say our goodbyes, Rico?
Oh, no. Thank you for coming and watching.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for giving that awesome talk.
It was fantastic.
Bye, Rico.
Rico.